I'm going to talk about the non-clothed items that you're going to use on your Aconcagua trip. So this is kind of the miscellaneous stuff. I'll start off with the bed, and most of this stuff is aimed at if you're on a guided climb, you're not doing it yourself like I am. But the first one, pretty much all guides will ask you to have is a foam pad, right? If you have a way of securing the foam pad like this one comes with, very nice. It's just basically so you don't cut up your inflatable pad with rocks. It also gives you an extra layer of warmth. So in terms of camping, you really want to have a camping pad and have that between you and the sleeping bag and the bottom of the tent and the ground. Okay, so the other part of this system is the inflatable camping pad. This is a Neo Air Thermo. This is the highest R-rated one they have. I'm not going to get it now. I'll have the exact name in the description, and with the Amazon affiliate links there. You can also get the Neo Air Micro Pump. I found this pump to be a little bit weak, but it's really small. It runs off of AAA batteries, so 2 AAA batteries. It'll get you most of the way there, but you probably would want to use the pumping sack. So I recommend practicing with your pumping sack and practicing inflating and deflating your pad before you go to the mountain. When I first had the pad, actually, I just forget it. So it's not just the first time, but also I think when I was on La Malinche, one of the Mexican volcanoes, I forgot how to inflate it and deflate it. So there's like just get used to it. And you use this inflation sack. It's better if you don't blow on it, but you use the inflation sack because number one, you're not getting water in there, and the other thing is you're probably going to be out of breath high on the mountain. So getting familiar with this inflation sack method and how that works before you leave for the mountain, it's really good preparation. That'll make your time in the tent more efficient, and you can just focus on the things that you need to do or you want to do. Okay, so you're going to put this inflatable pad on top of the mattress, the foam pad. And the foam pad, it's recommended that you have silver side up so you reflect your heat back onto yourself and you have the colored side down. I think the other thing I would say, so this is you want to get the highest R value you can for one of these things because it is cold in Aconcagua. It is really, really cold. Don't let people tell you it's like a desert, it's really hot. It's not. When you're high up on the mountain, when you're going to need this pad, it is really cold. About an R value of 7.3. Now, you can save weight on these things by getting the mummy. But I'll tell you what, it is hard to sleep on a mummy pad. And so if you want more comfort, then get the rectangular pad. This is actually an extra long one. This has an R value of 7.3. So this is the best pad that Thermo makes, Thermo Neo Air. And you want the highest possible R value. Don't cheap out on your pad because you'll feel it. And then you should have a 20-degree F sleeping bag. Now, I do not like down. This is a Mountain Hardware a lamina bag, which is a negative 20 degree Fahrenheit, negative 29 degrees Celsius rated. I have found, now people talk about comfort ratings and things like that. That may be a European regulation or something, but in the US, these manufacturers will give you one number. I don't know if it's which number it is, but this is a big bulky thing because it is synthetic. If you got a down pad, a sleeping bag, you probably could half this, and you might even be able to half the weight, but it might be 3 times the cost if you did that. So, I mean, this is there are definitely some $1,000 sleeping bags out there. This was, I think, about $200 to $300. I'm not sure. Prices may vary when you get it. And then most of you are not going to bring your own tent, but I did bring my own tent. I'm using the KUIU 2-person Storm Start. This is a small 2-person tent. The key design feature of this is it's very wind resistant. So it's a double-walled 4-season tent, and it's fly. You do not have to put the fly over the poles. You actually lift it up with the fly attached, and it makes for easier pitching, especially if you're solo like I will be. But if you are on a guided expedition, you don't have to worry about your tent. Your guides will do that for you. They may have you pitch it, but they'll provide you with a tent. And then the other thing is that if this was like a 2-person expedition, you might want to get a higher size tent. So the most common tent that is on the mountain, I would say, is the Mountain VE North Faced. But I think also the Trango tents are quite good. I think it was from Mountain Hardware. But both those are very heavy tents. This is about 6-pound tent. Those will run around 9 pounds. This is the tent I will be using. This is not a cheap tent, but none of the tents that you'd want to bring on Aconcagua are inexpensive. Okay, the other thing that you want to bring is you want to bring a titanium spoon, a very long one. Most guides will have you eat a dehydrated meal or bring dehydrated meals. Give it a shot. Try to get it through customs. I think you stand a better chance with customs if you go straight to Argentina than if you go through Chile. But it may go through, it may not. But if it's in a sealed container, it's probably going to be okay. And then you want to have a bowl. Most guides are going to require you to have a bowl and a cup. You can probably substitute one of these 16-ounce Nalgene's for a cup. I highly recommend these things. These are great, especially if you're like getting a cup of coffee in the morning. You mix it in this, and you can put it in this. Or if you want to just have a small mixed drink, I also recommend that you get individual drink packets. Put those in your bag because you might find that difficult to find, and it's kind of cumbersome to get out a small container of coffee, instant coffee every day. But also for like things like Gatorade, whatever is to your taste in terms of the packets that you want. And then so I'm going to take 2 of these 16 ounces. And I also put koozies on them so they have some insulation. And then you want to have a 32-ounce or higher coffee thermos, right? So, and it needs to have a cup associated. So this is also a cup, and you'll be able to drink from that thermos during the day. Get some hot drinks. It's quite nice. So that's 2 liters, and I would take probably at least 3 of these. Yeah, 3 of these. So you want to the regular 32-ounce or 1 liter Nalgene. You can see I've filled it with my little drink mixes. You should be drinking 4 to 5 liters per day to keep up with your acclimatization. If you are not drinking that much, you may be at an increased risk of altitude sickness. And it's really hard to drink pure water for 5 liters. So putting something in the drink that'll make it taste a bit better it will go a long way to making your trip successful. And you know, on summit night, you want to have at least 3 liters. So maybe you have a liter in here of hot water, or maybe some type of hot drink, but maybe not all coffee. Something that hydrates you well. Coffee's not great for hydration. And then you want to have it in something insulated like this. So I would say boil your water. It's probably the most important thing, and unfortunately that's not something you have control over on a guided trip, is to boil your water on some at night, because it will freeze even in the insulation. I think, you know, one of the contributing factors why I had a touch of altitude sickness on the descent from Pico de Orizaba and maybe on the top was that I was dehydrated. I could not drink any liquids because my Nalgene bottle froze because I didn't insulate it and I didn't have boiling water. But I had boiling water on Kilimanjaro. No altitude sickness problems on the summit there, higher peak by about 1,000 feet. And, you know, part of that was my acclimatization, but I think part of that was my hydration, because I had taken the time to make sure that I got boiling water so that I had non-frozen water on the summit day. So another one, Nalgene you can get is kind of the koozie style Nalgene neoprene. And I'm going to take this filter, this Nalgene bottle filter. It's to get out sediment. So if you're getting your own water or boiling your snow or whatever, then getting the sediment out might make it taste a bit better. This is an optional item, is a inflatable pillow, something you could throw out of your bag if you're running out of room, or if you want to cut weight, you could get this out, but it might improve your sleep. I enjoyed having this on Kilimanjaro. I had not used one prior to Kilimanjaro, but I thought it was pretty good. And you just blow that up. And use as a pillowcase. Just use some piece of clothing that you have. You have a ton of clothes, so you can choose it. This Nalgene is actually 96 ounces, but it is I'm going to use this as a pee bottle. So one thing I found was that a 32 ounce pee bottle was not enough for me on Kilimanjaro. You know, so if you're being well hydrated, you're going to want to use the pee bottle quite a bit. That's one of the joys of having a private tent instead of sharing a tent. Getting to know guys using the pee bottle together. But anyways, this I don't think I can pee 96 ounces in one go. And the nice thing is it has this well-sealed lid. Okay, and then solar panels. I have a smaller 15 watt solar panel. I'll put the link to that one in the description. It works quite well. The 15 watt is to put on your backpack. This one is to keep at base camp. So I think there's potential for charging, but maybe not as much as you need. You want to have at least one power pack to go with this, but I would say at least two. I probably would take about 8. Because I film, I use my cell phone. I'll have satellite phones. So I didn't bring the inReach here, but having an inReach is kind of an easy option if you wanted to get into this and have some sort of satellite communications, and then you can look up weather yourself. So this is 100 watts, right? So put this on the mules, use it at base camp. And it is big enough that it can actually charge. Now, it would be way too heavy to carry above base camp, in my humble opinion. And so you can just leave that in your duffel bag at base camp with the other stuff that you're not taking to the high part of the mountain. And I think you'd be good to go there. This comes with a frame and a thing, but I would just take off the frame just to save weight, even on the mules. You know, depending on your guides, because I paid for logistics, I get 60 kilos. So there's no way I'm going to get close to their weight limit. So that's not an issue, but you might have as little as 30 kilos on the mule. So keep that in mind, depending on what guide and what logistics you got. And then trekking poles, I would take 2 trekking poles, and maybe also alternative attachments. I would go with probably the small attachment to start out with, but maybe the snow attachment if you get a lot of snow. And then for the plane, you put on the little safety thing so it doesn't punch through your stuff. So getting the accessories for this, right? So getting this so it doesn't punch through your bag is quite nice. And you'd actually probably want to carry that up the mountain to avoid puncturing things. And take them out for a few hikes and make sure they're good. And then a lot of people skimp on or think they can get away without an ice axe, that there's no ice on Kilimanjaro, or no ice on Aconcagua, there's no glacier that you have to walk through. But I've seen a lot of videos that snow is a problem, especially high up on the Canaleta. People did, I think someone was gravely injured because he didn't have an ice axe or he didn't self-arrest. So you should have an ice axe and practice using it, right? The self-arrest techniques. Most guides will require you to have an ice axe, and one nice thing is to have the ice axe leash, which you can tie to yourself, so in case you drop it, you can pick it up. The ice axe on the way up, I think if you're on snowy or icy terrain, I think is good as a kind of small trekking pole. So I would say get a kind of longer ice axe, and on the way up you can use it. One hand you can use your trekking pole, the other hand you can use the ice axe, and you'll be ready to self-arrest if needs be. But if there's no snow or ice, then you won't need to get out your ice axe. So you might get lucky, and due to the weather, you will not take it to the summit. I think I would take it to the summit, even if I thought I wasn't going to see any ice. But that's just me. I tend to carry my crampons and ice axe more often. Things I forgot. Number one, you want to have a roll of toilet paper. I recommend putting it in a Glad slider bag. Or I think maybe it's a hefty slider bag. Those things are just bulletproof almost. And you probably want to bring a few trash bags, maybe for poop management, or maybe some more of these for poop management, and miscellaneous stuff. And you'll also want to bring wet wipes, hand sanitizer, and then bandages. I have Advil, Tylenol, buffered aspirin, Imodium AD, Pepto-Bismol, and then you might even want to have Diamox and prescription antibiotics for diarrhea. But the Imodium AD and Pepto-Bismol will probably help most people with diarrhea, and then if it's kind of a bacterial infection, then the Cipro antibiotics you can get from your doctor. And then just take certain snacks that you like. You always want to take a toothbrush, and I'll probably take my shaving kit on the mountain and see how it goes at base camp. And if I find it too annoying to shave, then I'll stop shaving. But I shaved every day on Kilimanjaro. So it depends on your particular situation. At a minimum, you want to brush your teeth every day. So don't skimp on this. You don't want to go 20 days without brushing your teeth. All right, bye-bye. Okay, there are a few other things. if you are going on your own, you'll need at least one stove. I would recommend, if you're gonna go the isobutane route, is to have an MSR reactor stove. But I also have an XPED stove, even though I have it inside this jet boil pot because it doesn't come with the pot. So the most of the people I see on the mountain are actually using isobutane, but it may fail in really cold temperatures, and a white gas stove may be better. You should be able to buy those things in Mendoza when you get there. Obviously the fuel you'll buy in Mendoza you can't take with you, but you can take the stoves with you as long as they're fuel free on the plane. So this is just for people that are doing their own expedition. If you are on a guided trip, you will not need a stove.